This week I got the chance to head down to Melbourne to visit Australia's first wave pool, URBNSURF. It was an epic trip and I thought I'd make a super detailed clip on what the pool is like to answer all your questions. Let's jump into it now. Oh wait, before we go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join me on Instagram at Kale's Broccoli. Yo. This is the thing, like there's been this huge build-up of pressure around wave pools. Like Kelly kicked it all off with that. I think everybody remembers the shot, that cold, dark, grinding right-hander that just lit up the internet a few years ago. Whereas now there's like this hub of wave pools, you know, and I still haven't got to try one. I've looked at footage and that area looks small for 18 people. I'm a little bit nervous about that. I've heard it, if someone falls off on the takeoff, you have to like dodge them and go around them. And that sort of concerns me a little bit. We are just getting a little Uber, updating your ride details. It'll take your time. It's only perfect waves. Excitement wise, I think I'm like an 8 out of 10. I feel like it's really gonna hit me when I start playing music on the way there, because that's when I get a little bit amped. Once we got to Melbourne, we grabbed an Uber and took it to the wave pool. It's only 4 minutes in the car. Once we were there, we were greeted with a bunch of industrial looking shipping containers that actually look kind of cool. Now we gotta go check in. As we were approaching the check-in desk, we got our first look at the waves. On either side of the pier, we could see 2 to 3 footers reeling down the line, and we knew we were in for the funnest day ever. I can't breathe. I'm so nervous. First wave, don't fall off. That's all I want. It's a left, so I'm probably gonna fall off. There's a bunch of empty shipping containers which we promptly go and set up in, but as the waves continue to roll through, we're all incredibly distracted unpacking our boards. So we got like a straight onshore wind, which I'll put on screen what that direction is for straight onshore, which I'm actually not too upset about. I feel like if I was under pressure on my backhand first thing to get some tubes, I'd be blowing it. I've got my normal ripper. No, I got the label wrong, but it's the Raptor. It's a little whippet. I think I'm gonna choose this. I've already waxed up 4 times today. And action. Right in the water's edge, boys. Scanned in. You gotta go. The waves are pumped out of a central column by, I'm guessing, some kind of lever or pressure cooker technology, I don't know, but right before the set starts there is a squeaking noise which indicates the arrival of 12 new waves to surf on both sides of the lineup, left and right. The first wave is kind of a little teaser which doesn't break, whilst the remaining 3 to 4 waves are the cleanest and I thought the best. The remaining waves are still epic, of course, and after number 12, there again is a last wave which kind of just dies early before everybody sits and waits for the next round. With a maximum of 18 people in the lineup on each side and 12 wave sets, 6 people miss out on a wave each set but then find themselves in pole position for the next one. On my first session, it was at capacity, as is the norm, apparently. I caught 14 waves in the hour. We were super lucky in that we had a session at 6 AM on the second day where only 13 people were in the water. I think I must have caught about 16 waves during that session. The waves that are pumped out change depending on the wind. If it's offshore, there is more emphasis on the barreling waves. Onshore, then be prepared to smash forward to the beach every wave. It was light onshore, followed by an evening glass off when we were there, so we got everything. It was great. The session started off with the rippable waves, the point break style, then progressed to a steeper, whackable wall, followed by increasingly more realistic and a heavy barrel by the end. It was cool to have all of this in 1 hour, and I think it would be even better if they could mix all of these waves together at random to really keep you on your toes. Coming in from the first session, I almost had no words to explain what just happened.
You sort of don't really know, you sort of feel like you're just sitting in a pool.
Yeah, it's really weird. Waiting for that first one,
yeah.
And then you hear the machine start up, and you're like, oh shit, these little nervous
The noise gets you, 100%. The noise like puts butterflies in your belly. If you're the first one, it's the worst, because everyone's looking at you and you're like... But then if you're like second or third, you feel like you're surfing down the line. It's sort of a weird experience. I know it sounds stupid, but it's fresh water, but it's sort of surprising that it's fresh water because you're catching waves. But I mean, the water temp, it's summer. I would say it's about 18 or 19 degrees, like it's pretty warm. And really comfortable in the 2-2 short arm.
The fact that we're surfing late at night brings it a little bit
late at night, yeah. So we got 50 minutes until our next session, which is the right. I'm not getting out of my wetsuit.
It was really fun. It's times like that I'm reminded how bad I am. But I was in the barrel a couple times. I was just nowhere near getting out.
If you come to Urban Surf in Melbourne, you're immediately met with this massive pool that's split down the middle. We've got the left-hander over here to the left side and the right over here to the right. Besides the pool, which is obviously the main attraction, they've also done this kind of cool architecture thing where they've got shipping containers set up all around as their offices. So you actually come in, you check in, you get your name, you do all the normal booking stuff, and then you're met by a set and you just get super pumped. We were lucky over by the left, in front of the left, there's actually a big shipping container area where you can just watch everybody surf. Then if we move over this way, they've actually got board hire as well. So you don't even have to come here with boards. You can get a board for, I heard, $20 a day. We're going to confirm this on screen, which is incredibly good value, especially when you're paying like $25 each way on certain airlines. Jetstar, this area here where you can look at the photos. So there's a photographer taking shots throughout the session. Then they've got a bunch of food available too, and really healthy options as well, which is obviously a big priority for me, but also a big priority for a lot of surfers these days. Then you've got the Surf Academy over in the corner, so you can sort of organise a lesson, and whilst the waves are happening, you've got a bunch of beginners on the inside, way out the way, surfing and catching a few waves. Now, after your session, all you want to do is probably grab a bite to eat, and that's what the boys are doing now, just over this gorgeous Melbourne industrial sunset. What do we got here, boys, to eat? Sebi? Little tofu bowl?
Stop annoying me when I'm eating.
What's it like? Any good food? Good food?
I'm enjoying it.
Our next session was at sunset and it turned out to be a cracker. Who would have thought we'd be getting tubed under artificial lights with the glowing sky in the background. Power-wise, my friends and I guesstimate that it clocks up about 80 to 90% of the power of a real wave. I found this most evident on the right where, because of the size of the wave, about 3 foot Australian, I wanted to lay down some big turns, however just found it really hard to push it all the way through on most of them and even just fell off on a couple. That being said, I found it an excellent repetitive training ground for practicing body positioning and turning. Having this slight limitation could also almost act as a bit of an intentional training exercise so that by the time you get in the ocean, you'll have an extra 10 to 20% more speed than you're used to. The sheer amount of waves and consistency is not something you can get from the ocean, no way. So in that sense, I think the pool really does have it made. The biggest question I was getting before coming down was, why can't the public access beast mode? It's a great question. Apparently in the beginning there were quite a few surfers who hit their head on the concrete bottom during barrel sessions, and it kind of became a liability that had to be managed by URBNSURF. Fair enough. At this stage you can only access the beast mode by hiring out the pool privately. It is a little disappointing but also understandable. With no real effective way to vet surfers' ability before they come to the place, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I had people in the advanced session who were low-grade intermediate at best. They shouldn't have been out there and would have been in actual danger if beast mode was available. One thing I also think needs to be an option is a faster wave with an air section. Although I never got bored, I really wanted that feeling of speed pumping down the line on a wave and racing towards a little bit of whitewater for a big air. I feel like this is a really accessible template for the public and would offer some really nice progression opportunities for better surfers as well.
That was unreal. What more do you want? To be just getting tubed on tap like that for 40 minutes, I think the tube setting was on. It was unreal. You're looking at a lineup that's very monitored, so it's kind of like gentlemen's rules, but also some pretty unforgiving rules, which is how it should be, I think. If you paddle for a wave and you miss it, that's your turn done. You've got to paddle to the end of the line. If you fall off midway through, you've got to paddle all the way in and sort of get out the way. Overall, everyone's super positive and excited when you get a good one, and you come out of a barrel and everyone's hooting. It's just so sick under the lights. Oh man, epic times.
The intermediate session actually looks really fun. I kind of wish that I had the cash to book in a session just so I could take out my 20 and just roll it rail to rail all the way through. Although it's called intermediate, it's still a relatively advanced setting with a 2 to 2.5 foot wall to hit. I noticed watching along that total beginners were out there, and almost 50% of them at one point were stacking it before even getting up, making for a hectic takeoff zone. It almost seemed more dangerous than the advanced mode in this sense. Beginners actually sit on the inside against the wall and catch small 1/4 foot little whitewater, leaving a substantial gap between the beginner setting and the advanced intermediate. The ideal surfer for the intermediate session is someone who can pop up with confidence and cut across the wave every time. Struggle popping up? Don't do it, for yours and everybody else's sake. I saw so many people who probably weren't ready for the pool get smashed with their boards into the concrete wall repeatedly throughout the set. Relatively harmless and nobody's fault except their own. The advanced setting is for just that, advanced surfers, people who can pop up, take off, and engage in nice turns across the wave, and who are interested in getting barreled.
All right, so after this whole experience, do you feel like the trip is worth it, the amount of money that you'd spent flying from Sydney, going down there, staying one night, and paying for the admission to come and surf?
I've walked away from sessions at Stratty, for instance, one of my favourite waves in the world, just glowing.
South Stratty.
And South Stratty, and just feeling and paddling across the causeway there, the seaway,
Yeah.
and just feeling
so embedded in my local ecology and the world, and it's that flow state, essentially. Total dissolution of ego and just like seeing stars, I didn't see the same thing from a barrel in the pool.
Yeah.
But it's still incredible, and it might be 70 to 80% of that, So yeah, it has its place, and it's definitely going to be an advantage and benefit to the surfing industry. $500 or $600 for essentially what is, let's say, 14 waves times 4.
Yeah, you're at 60 waves.
So
roughly.
56 waves. What's that? That's about $10 a wave, let's just say. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. It's not something I'd do every week unless I lived close by, but it's totally worth it. Visit. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and join me on Instagram as well, at Kale's Broccoli. If you want a more casual, candid, in-depth discussion about the wave pool itself, make sure you hit this button up here. It's my mate Kim's channel, who produced this video for me. He's got a podcast called Rest Day, and we had an awesome chat about the pool itself. It was super fun, so make sure you go and check it out. I'll see you guys soon.